It's a jinx on him. Oh, like, man.
The fathers within the kids. Like Dylan just goes hot to cold. I was like, yep. Perfectly fine. Meltdown. Like the sweetest kid. And then it's like, don't touch my toys.
Yeah, that's this right here.
Yep. Yep. So
just do your fucking job.
It's hard. Just do your fucking job. And I'll do mine. And when I don't do mine, I'll confess.
But do your fucking job.
Do your fucking job. Give me my pen back. All right, 2014.
2014.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I shall be.
You're up. You're up on this one. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Do it.
In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Get With The Programming. I'm Chase Ingram.
I'm Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grunler.
Wolverine.
And we are getting into our 8th episode of our Mount Rush Moments. In the year will be 2014. I think I started the Rush Moments just because of this year in general. 2014 is my favorite CrossFit Games so far. After doing our Analyzing the Programming series, that one, I think every time I was like, and going into my next favorite event of all time.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of when we do that bracket style choice of what the best events are. Like this is going to kind of be like the all-star team. Half of the events come to play, you know?
I forgot we were going to do that. That's half the reason we're doing the whole darn CrossFit Games anyway. So
yeah.
If you guys are just joining us for this episode, our very first series, what started the podcast was our analyzing the programming from the CrossFit Games. And me and Bill would go back and forth and go through every single event, what we thought of it, the little nuances, the tweaks, and then we would analyze it and determine whether it was a good test or a bad test, and did they truly find the fittest on earth. And we've done everything from 2007 all the way through 2015. So if you guys haven't heard those episodes, go back. It's a good trip down memory lane. We nerd out on the programming big time. And we got some special guests in there. We got Tanya Wagner, Josh Bridges, Roy McKern, and Dan Bailey. And as we look to 2016, we're trying to get some new guests onto the show to give their experience and some more background stories. Nobody wants to hear me and Bill talk back and forth for 2 hours. But when you get Roy,
I barely want to hear us that long because we get lost in that. We'll get lost in the gutter somewhere, you know.
Yeah, someone's got to pull us out of the weeds. And then with our Mount Rush Moments, this being 2014, we've done our favorite memories, stories, and moments of the CrossFit Games dating all the way back to 2007. This will be 2014, and I believe I will be going first.
You're up.
Even?
Yep, you're up.
Ooh, no pressure. All right. Shoot, let's get into it. And without further ado, our 2014 Mount Rush Moments.
Just doesn't get old, man.
It will
does
never
not get old.
And when we do I can't wait to do Mount Rush Moments for open workouts. That'll be our next analyzing series. Regional workouts, next analyzing series. Team events from the CrossFit Game. I mean, we have jam-packed content, and that intro music is not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to put a stamp on that one. Between that and the Get With The Programming theme song, I mean, we're gonna make this music famous.
Did your brother like trademark that or copyright that yet? Just because that is growing on me.
It's so
every
good.
time it comes out.
It's well, what's crazy is that he whipped that together so fast. He's like, so what do you want? Something like this. Boom. Slapped it. I'm like, okay, yes, we'll take that, please. Thank you.
And I'll be truly honest. When I first heard it, I was like, yeah,
It's kind of rocky for me.
It's a little hard.
Oh my
little
gosh.
hardcore.
Silly cowboy over there.
And then, man.
Yeah, but your son has it nailed though, man. And finally you put it out on the Instagram and you got Dylan just rocking out in the back, pumping his fist and
My son loves the intro music to our podcast so much. We took a video and, you know, he's looking out the window. The car is parked.
Right.
And I'm taking a video and he's looking out the window and then the song comes on and this smile comes on his face and he starts doing air drums. And at the very end, I don't know where, I think he might have got this from me. I'm not sure. I've never taught him this. But when the song was over, he just goes, ugh.
That was so good.
Oh, man. But
Good
back
time.
to why everyone else is here.
Good times.
My very first Mount Rush moment will be the second time I got to test an event at the CrossFit Games, and it was for the ocean swim event that they programmed for 2014. And this ocean swim, for the first time, had more than just water work or just body weight work. They actually introduced some weights. They did some kettlebell thrusters and some burpees in the sand mixed in between 3 different swims. And how this unfolded, like, well, didn't you test it last year and they told you? It's like, yes, they did. However, this year, in true CrossFit, I would say HQ fashion, it was, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, yes. I'm like, when? Today. I'm like, okay. And by today, I mean, I think Dave texts me and he goes, let me know when you get here. It's like, okay, so I live in Dallas, Texas. I fly to Los Angeles, drive to Manhattan Beach, California. Text Dave. I was like, hey, I'm here. He goes, where at? I'm like, the hotel where all of us stay for media. Mm-hmm. So he pulls up in a truck and he goes, get in, grab your suit. And I was like, which order? Should I grab my suit first?
Yes.
Grab your suit, get in the truck. So I get in the truck. We drive down to, I believe it was Hermosa.
Yeah, Hermosa Beach.
Yeah, so we went to Hermosa Beach Pier, and we get out, and I still don't know what's happening. And he goes, put your suit on, and then swim around the pier. Keep in mind, I just landed an hour ago, and I'm in full clothes, but I did bring the suit and a towel because I'm not an idiot. And I was like, okay, well, we're in a parking lot, but this isn't strange territory for me. Any lifeguard or swimmer knows how to deck change. And what a deck change is you're on the pool deck and you put a towel around your waist, you take your suit off, you put your shorts on, and then you move on without actually leaving the pool deck and going into the locker room. So did a little deck change in the parking lot, threw my suit on, put my goggles on, and he just goes, okay, run to the water, swim until you go past the pier, and then come back in. I was like, cool. I haven't warmed up. I don't know how far that is, and I'm a little nervous about the water. So I like just totally cold. I dive in, and I am completely used to oceans and sea life. Everyone's worried about sharks. I'm always worried about sharks. I really am. I'm terrified of them. It's always in the back of my mind when I'm in the water. But I grew up swimming in Manhattan Beach, which is 2.2 miles from Hermosa Beach, and I've been to Hermosa Beach. This is familiar territory for me. In fact, I don't know when the year was. I think it was actually 2011. I did an open water swim with my mother that morning before I went to go watch the CrossFit Games. And it was a peer-to-peer swim from Hermosa Beach Pier to Manhattan Beach Pier.
Oh, shit. No way.
Yeah. And it's a 2.2 mile swim. So we did it in the morning. My mom, so we dive in. I'm getting, so
here come the weeds. Here come the weeds.
I've been there before. So I jump in and dive in, and I'm swimming right by the pier. And Dave is on my left on the pier walking with Justin Berg and a couple other HQ people, and they're just timing the swim. And I get to a point where I get out of the surf. And then I get out of the surf, and then I get to the point where there's no more surfers. And then I get to the point where the water gets really calm, and the visibility is really low, and I get a little bit further from the shore than I was anticipating. And I keep breathing to the left, looking at Dave. And for a moment, and Bill, I know you're super comfortable with the water and you don't give a shit about much things in terms of sea life, but I'm always good until I'm not. And for a second, I kind of let that little creepiness come in, and it was over. And then I felt like I panicked. I was like, there's something out here. I know there's something out here. And so I'm breathing, and I'm like, Dave will tell me, right?
Hey, watch out for that shark that's going to bite you. What's he going to say?
A heads up. And so I'm like breathing every stroke to the left to where I can see him. But then after a while, I just kind of like keep my head to the left and doing like a side stroke because I panicked hard out there, real hard. And all I was waiting for was all their phones to come up and then realize that I was screwed. So I swim out, I panic, I get where I need to go. I go around the pier and I come back in, and then that was really it. We drive off, and he basically throws me off back at the hotel, and I don't see him again for I think the rest of the weekend. But missing that event was so random, and they just wanted to see how long around the pier would take, so they could have an appropriate time cap for the event. Because I think they did buoy, bodyweight thrusters around the pier, bodyweight thrusters, and then a buoy. Is how it's set.
Yeah.
250, 500, 250. Again, those distances are totally arbitrary just for prettiness on paper. But man, I totally panicked out there when I just got past everybody and I freaked out.
That feeling, I mean, I've been on plenty of ocean swims. It's like that doesn't go away. You're in there in when there are people around, you feel like you're kind of in your area, that you're in the human.
Like
You're in the human playground area, so it's okay. Right. You know, like, yes, sharks will come in and seals will come in, and they're more kind of passing through. The second you get out past where all the people are, and that's why I always like the pier, because as long as you're by the pier, you're still in human land. The second you would get past that, and we would do that even where I'm up here in Pismo Beach, you get past where the pier is, and the second you go past the pier, now all of a sudden it's like, you are not in your area anymore.
I'm in the deep blue sea.
Oh, man. It's kind of like, you're like this totally nerdy, touristy guy, got the collar up, you got the camera on, you got your big glasses, you got your fanny pack and your Bermuda shorts, and you're walking like in the hood. Excuse me. Yes, I was wondering if you could tell me where a 7-Eleven is. And it's like, yeah, bro, here's your 7-Eleven, like, get me out of here.
Dude, I panicked.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I was fine. I was good. And like I said, big waves, no problem. People, no problem. Surfers, no problem. No one problem. And I was fine until it switched. And it doesn't go off, and it just magnifies.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure the second half of my swim was much faster than the first half of my swim. I wanted to get out of there so bad.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was my first rush moment.
That's a good one. All right, I'm gonna kind of stick it with the beach also. Not event wise, but feel wise. So we get to Hermosa. The day before the event, the day of the event, Hermosa Beach, pancakes in the morning. There is now we didn't get to go there because it was so packed, but that Uncle Bill's pancake place.
Oh,
where if you drove by, like we always tried to go there, we ended up going to that other cafe that was down the road.
Get to go there? Oh, the kettle.
Yeah, the kettle. Yeah, the Kettle Cafe. But we always would drive by in the morning time to see Uncle Bill's pancake place, see if we can get in there, and always super packed. And if you were like a CrossFit fan, you had to go there because it was like CrossFit celebrities were all there, all the athletes and stuff. But that morning, beautiful day, super sunny. You have the smell of the surf. You have the smell of the sand. You have this morning outdoor breakfast scene. You go down to the beach. There's a race on the beach. The sand is nice and warm. Like that scene to me was so Southern California. And I mean, yes, the CrossFit Games and, it's in California and that's where it started from and all that kind of stuff. But it was such a Southern California feel. Like, I mean, I've done a lot of lifeguard beach competitions and things like that, which are feel very Southern California-ish to me. You have the music, you have the sand, you have the surf, you have all that.
Festivals. The Manhattan Surf
man.
Festival used to go on during the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
The same weekend.
Yeah. And
you're talking about childhood right now.
Oh man, that whole scene.
Yes.
And it wasn't the broadcast. It was just like if you were to wrap that all up into one big thing. Like if I watch the videos, which the videos are hysterical because they have all the editor stuff that's on there. I went back and I was watching some of those, and it's like, we have 20 seconds to roll, 20 seconds to live. Whoopsie. Coming up with the red, all that kind of stuff.
We're professionals, damn it.
Yeah, I know, totally. But you watch that, and I just get that feeling of just, man, summertime, Southern California, and to me it's such a warm feeling, like the sun, the suntan, the sunscreen, the surf, the sand, the early morning coffee, like that to me started.
And then walking the pier at Manhattan.
Yes, man, and that's what we did. That was kind of our morning thing, and even if we could get out there early enough. Depending on what was happening at the StubHub, we would go and do that anyway. We would go down there because the hotel wasn't far from there. We'd drive right down to the beach. We'd eat our breakfast. We'd go out, just cruise the pier and kind of soak all that in before we hit it. And man, like I just love that. That was that piece to me is like, yes, that tap on the heart there.
That area you're talking about, so that Uncle Bill's. I mean, there's my childhood visit.
Yeah.
My grandmother lives.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So, I mean, she lives at the top of the hill on 3 streets over. We would walk there, eat breakfast, walk down to the beach, and then all day. All summer.
So
but
good.
That stretch you're talking about where the kind of that Starbucks is on Manhattan Beach Boulevard.
Yep.
And it goes downhill all the way to the pier.
Yep.
That is, and for lack of my experience of visiting other places in the country, one of my favorite spots in the entire country for me.
Yeah.
To me, even though it's not home, it feels like home to me.
Yeah.
That spot. Like that's funny that you mentioned that, because that is a special place for me.
Well, and you would say that every time we went down there, you're like, you know what? I remember right up here. You'd be giving me all these like childhood things, but like I love that scene. I love that feel.
I feel like that was a good additional vibe of the games too, which is, Carson isn't in the beach. Carson is like in the middle of nowhere, concrete jungle type outskirts California area. But the games vibe, right? That games is the CrossFit Games weekend, I think was embodied by those beach towns in the area.
Totally.
Just because that's where we stayed so close and everybody visited there before.
Yeah.
And especially after. And I think that's what people were worried about losing on the move to Madison. Madison's a different vibe altogether, and I still love Madison. Madison's cool, but it's different.
Totally.
But when you think about the game spirit, especially in the OGs like 7, 8, 9, that's what really hooked people in, I thought.
Oh man. Yeah, I loved it. That's
good.
That was my first one. It was a feeling kind of rush moment, all the feels on that one.
All right, so I'll go. This is my second one, and you touched on where to eat.
I was going to do this one too. It was on my list.
Okay, we said we can share. So if you guys haven't listened to these Rush Moment episodes before, we don't share what our top 4 random memories are, and we have yet to really cross streams. And I'm talking about not camping. Is this one of yours? Okay,
I had it on my list. I wrote a list of ones as I was kind of going through, which I had a lot on this year, but that was one of them. I'm like, how am I going to fit this one in there? But I decided to go with the.
All right, so I'll go with this one. I'm going to take you to a place called Cafe Rio. And if you went to the games with me and Bill, we took you to that place every single day.
Oh man, the best burrito in a bowl ever.
Ever. It's not even close. So the best way to describe it, and I'm not doing its justice, take a Chipotle, but then make it authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we have like homemade, thick, fresh tortillas in there, and they're cooking all the meats in the back, and they put this salsa and they shred it and they bake it if you want it enchilada style, and you get the salsa verde, and they have this they have this ranch. I don't know what, it's not even a ranch. What is it? It's a
crema.
Yeah,
it's a crema.
It is my favorite restaurant, and it's like fast food, but it's an upscale Chipotle. I don't know if that's probably not.
No, that's exactly what it is. But we would eat there so much
every day
that we would start texting about it before we get there. It's like, oh, dude, Cafe Rio.
Can't wait.
Cafe Rio in a week.
Can't wait for Cafe Rio. It was, and I mean, then we would all go. It's like,
yeah,
Bill and the MCs, and we knew when it closed. We knew when it opened. If we had like 2-hour break, we're like, do you want to go there for lunch? Even though we get food free while we're on site. Carson is like, it's going to be a late night, so we got to make sure we at least get it once today. And I'm talking like every day. That was one of the things I was looking forward to from the CrossFit Games. It's like not the beach, not just, my favorite place on earth, not, California, not seeing my friends. It was like Cafe Rio was a draw for me.
Oh man, totally. But it was it was really, really good food, but it was our meeting place. Like we would sit there and we would talk about, it would be our chance for like all of our people that were working, or even me and you, we would go there and it was like.
Or deloading.
100% deloading or even prepping, not like getting ramped up, but it was like the moment of like, all right, let's just bring it down a second because it's going to get crazy. Or, man, it got crazy. Let's just bring it down a second. And we'd go there and we'd just eat and you would be stuffed. Like those things were so big. I'm talking big as your head, big. And it would all end up in my gut. It was amazing.
So great.
It was amazing.
And so particular to this place this year, we said this in our Analyzing the Programming story, was it Friday night or Saturday night? No, it was Friday night. So Rich had just...
Oh, yeah.
It was Wednesday, Friday. Oh, he had a rough day.
Yep.
Rough day. That was the 333s. I think that was the sled sprints.
Yeah.
Then, he had to like basically throw himself at the mercy of speed, and that was the 21:59 complex, which you won. And he like that was the thumb in the hole that plugged the dam that looked like it was breaking. And it was a late night, and it was just me and Bill. Was it just us?
Yeah.
Or
maybe Kiki was with us.
Maybe Kiki was with us. But we get our food, and it was like right when it's about to close. So me and Bill are sitting outside eating, and then the Mayhem crew train rolls in. Everybody rolls in, everybody except for Rich. And we're eating there, and we're looking at the car that they came out of, and all the windows are down. We're like, well, that's not safe. And then we look in there, and we just see these little doe eyes in the back of Mr. Rich Froning. And we just go over and talk to him.
Yeah.
Like, hey, buddy. Because at the time,
buddy, you
21:59, it was all but guaranteed that Rich was not winning the 2014 CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
His trajectory was in a downhill slide. And so we go and talk to him, and he knows exactly the hole that he put himself in. He's resolved himself what had happened. He wasn't celebrating the win that he just had. And for the first time, he was like calm, but just went, now I have to win everything.
Yeah, he knew he was there to work. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna do these workouts and I'm gonna be
It
great.
was
I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna crush these. It's like now I have to crush these. It's
right.
like now it was business. And that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I think that was the first time it became business.
Yeah.
I would say for Rich, like it's always business, right? But Rich he's just a kid, man. He's a fit kid who loves to, he'd play, and to him it looked like competing in the CrossFit Games is no different than a flag football tournament on the
Right.
weekend, right? Like he was dead serious. Like there was nothing more he wanted to do than win, but it was super fun.
Yeah.
And when Friday happened, I think the fun faded, and it became I can't go out like this.
Yeah.
And he had already talked like this was the last one, so it was the pressure's like the last one can't be my worst one.
Right. Right.
And if anything solidified that this would be the worst one, I think Friday at the CrossFit Games in 2014 solidified as like this isn't as fun as I wanted it to be anymore. Now it's work. Now it's business. It's no longer play and competing. So Cafe Rio wrapped all that into one delicious big rush moment burrito.
That's a good one. All right. Mine, I'll go off of that.
Ooh.
The 21-15-9 event.
Yeah.
Just, I mean,
how many webs do we weave out of this one?
Dude, that one event had some of the coolest things that happened in it. One was the Rich thing. Like that was one of the, that was, and I was lucky enough to commentate on that one. And it was so fun to watch Rich. Usually he paces and he knows where everyone is. And, we always talked about how he will only go as hard as he really needs to. And this was the first time after the 333s and the stopping and the walking and all that stuff where like the dude's head was down and he wasn't looking at anyone. He's like, I'm going to fucking crush this. And he did. I mean, he beat the second place time by like 30 seconds. I mean, he smashed that event because he needed to.
And
dude. Yeah. Yeah.
And he wasn't in the top heat.
No. He just I mean, and from that where he was, crushing that was just amazing. Flip side to that, you watch Camille CLB on her when she was doing it, and she's doing the all the gymnastics unbroken all the way through, all the way to the end, and the crowd is yelling and counting and doing all that to get her to go all the way through. And then even on the programming side, it's like that was the most unique setup of the numbers for 21-15-9 I have ever seen. And I just thought it was the most unique, interesting, and fun way to put that together, to have a barbell movement and a gymnastic movement and have it work out that way. 8-7-6, 6-5-4, 4-3-2. There's your 21-15-9. Like I just, as a programming geek, like that to me is like a Mona Lisa. Like it's so beautifully put together, and then what it does and how it presented its, oh my God, like, geez. 21-15-9, man.
The great choice.
Oh my gosh.
Great choice.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the rep scheme. Like I said, it was the movements.
Totally. How it was put together.
Where did you even think with like deadlifts, power snatches, and power cleans, or deadlift, power clean, power snatch, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, we always do the less one, the power snatch, because it's a little bit harder than the power clean, which is a little bit harder than the deadlift.
Yeah.
And then chin over bar pull up, chest to bar pull up, bar muscle up, and the way it all worked.
It was cool, man. It was really so
cool.
Yeah.
And the craziest part, and we touched on this a little bit in our analyzing the programming episode about this event, is that I'm a programming geek as well. Same there with you. I think to me, programming is one of the most fun things about CrossFit. Other than just working out and having fun and maybe competing, I still enjoy programming and watching it unfold.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see the same thing with Dave. It's why he's so into it while he's at the games and why he tests so much. But when this event came out, there's always events at the CrossFit Games like, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. I would have done this differently. This time frame or this way, you can put your personal tweaks and biases and lay that over someone else's artwork unfairly at most times. But this was the first time where I sat back and go, wow.
Dude, totally.
Wow. I never would have thought of this.
Yeah.
I like to think I would have created something similar, but I just, until that happened, that option wasn't available.
No. I know. I mean, the movements, sure.
The weights and then the skills,
Yeah.
like nothing about, and here's the best part is like nothing about this event was like jaw-dropping unique. It's like deadlifts, power cleans, power sets. Yeah, cool. Chest bar pull-ups, muscle-ups. Yeah, we have a movement in the gym called a big D bar muscle-up, and it's 1, 1, and 1 all together.
Yeah.
However, after seeing how that was structured and it unfolded, and then the races that you were talking about, and again, it's Friday night in the tennis stadium in Carson, California. All of that together just made that, to me, one of the more jaw-dropping, wow events I'd ever watch. And I know you got to broadcast it, but being able to just sit in the stands and watch that with having no job on the line,
oh man,
was just a treat.
Yeah, that was a really, really cool event. It was awesome. Good job, Dave.
Good job
on that one.
Okay.
All right, you're up.
I will go to my
3
favorite. So number 3, yes, this is number 3. So 21-15-9 complex, Friday night. I'm going to move to Saturday night and the push-pull event. The push-pull event. And when you talk about moments, things on the line, crowds, a unique test put together, the way this unfolded, so push-pull, it was handstand push-ups at a deficit for men, strict.
Yep.
And then increasing weighted sled pulls. And I want to say it went 7, 8, 9, 10. I should have pulled it up.
It doesn't matter. It was a shit ton of like red plates on sleds out there.
Yeah. And then it's, Rich didn't have the best day Saturday. It was a very up and down day for Rich. And, you had your top athletes up in the top, like Josh Bridges, Noah Olson, Rich Froning was, I think, like 5th or 6th place at the time, but the points were really close. Jason Kalipa. And when this event unfolded, it was Ben Stoneberg is the final. He was like Ben Stoneberg was out early. Rich was out early. A couple other guys were out early. Josh was there, but would fall behind in certain places. Josh always kind of, he fell behind on the sled a lot.
Yeah. Wait,
and what happens, they do
I think he was the first off the wall, though, did the handstand push-ups because he was so fast with those.
On handstand push-ups. That was his
background.
Right? And what it was the width. It was the width of the stadium. So they do handstand push-ups on one side. They would run to the other side of the stadium and then pull a sled with a rope across the floor, and then unhook the rope and take it back to the next sled. So if you guys are thinking about this visually. And it all came down to this final event or this final round. And, I mean, the stadium was packed. This is the final event of the night. We knew how much was riding on the line because Josh Bridges was a huge, and still is a huge fan favorite.
Yeah.
When your fan favorites are doing well at the CrossFit Games, the fans will let you know. Right? But so was Rich. But at the same time, everybody wants to see a little bit of drama. And so Rich and Ben, I think Josh gets to the wall in maybe 4th place. It was about 15 or 20 seconds behind those top guys. And they all break on handstand push-ups. They added a deficit every round.
Yeah.
Like an inch deficit every round. So now you're like 4 to 5 inch deficit. I think it was 10 reps. Anyway. So they go through, and Josh, I don't know how he does this, goes unbroken, jumps off the wall, and the stadium, what I thought the stadium did was erupted. Eruption number 1. He runs, he gets to his sled. Rich comes off the wall. Secondary eruption, bigger than the first one. I was like, wow, it's the loudest I've ever heard this place. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in a booth, you're calling it, and I'm just soaking it in, right? Our booth is at the 50-yard line, top of the stands, huge sliding glass doors or windows are now open. I'm sitting with my legs out of the windowsill, like a
Very
4-year-old.
professional. Very professional.
Downtown New York. But what the sound would do is it would just pour into the windows, right? And so it was almost magnified where we were sitting. And so Josh gets, and you just watch their sleds go back and forth, and Rich is catching them 2 feet every pull, 2 feet every pull. They're 5 feet away. Rich pulls to a tie, and then Josh gets that one last pull in, gets to the platform, and erupts in the greatest CrossFit Games celebration I have ever seen in my life. And still talking about it today, I get goosebumps. If you haven't seen it, go watch the final men's heat of push-pull from the 2014 CrossFit Games. Turn it up. Josh's fuck yeah, like celebration. I mean, it was the most primal He-Man, like it was hands down best celebration I've ever seen at the CrossFit Games. Rich finishes just behind him, and at that, if there was a roof on the tennis stadium, it would have popped off.
Oh man, yeah, that was a great event. What I thought was crazy about that event, there were logistically so many things that could go wrong, because if you look on the floor, it was a fucking mess. You have like balls of ropes as they're coming around. You have this staggered setup with the sled. So you could very easily go to, and I think a couple people did where they went to the wrong sled to look the thing. I mean, everyone knows, like, you get into your kind of workout mode and your head's kind of down. You stand up trying to figure out where the next place is. I see people mess up going around a cone when they're spread like 10 meters apart. Yeah. And here you have sleds that are literally backed up to each other. And then the way that they're pulling these sleds is by these sandbags. And if you watch the video, the judges are having to adjust the sandbags for the guys because they're pulling so hard and the sandbags are moving. And there are so many things that could have gone wrong in that event. So many things that could have gone wrong. And with that, and how messy it was, and in the logistics of everything, it has one of the coolest, most exciting, most electric, most talked about finishes of all the CrossFit events. That, unreal. And I'm surprised, thank God nothing went wrong with that thing. Thank God that someone didn't lose the race because they hooked the wrong weight. They hooked the wrong sled. Yeah. Because these things are so close together. And granted, where's it going to go? If you're pulling on a rope, it can only really go one way. But the lanes were tight. The lanes were tight. And even coming in, so you have your other sleds, they're all parked up by you. Mm-hmm. And you're in the race to get that last one across. What if it got stuck? Right. What if it gets just a little corner gets caught up around the other sled? You'd lose. But I didn't see any of that happen.
Best events.
Oh man, that was super cool. That was a good one. Yeah, that was fun.
Push pull.
Okay, my favorite event. This is number 3 for me. Yep. One of the things I love about CrossFit is that there's, even in the sense of competition, you have that unwavering amount, overflowing amount of community, and everyone's hugging and high-fiving and come on, you can do it, and all that kind of stuff. And that's great. I think that's wonderful in the gym. In the gym. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm not down with this.
However, sport is about that battle. And, Rich was such a dominating figure in the landscape of the sport of CrossFit. And it just appeared that no one can touch him. And the thing that I cannot stand more than anything as an athlete is when people are fighting for second place. They're like, that guy, that other guy up there, he's just too good. He's not even. He's like,
Okay.
I'm not going for him. So like,
Resolve
no, I
themselves.
saw no one chasing Rich. I
Right.
saw no one that thought that they could beat Rich. And thank God, Tommy Hackenbrook is just a. He's
God.
just a dude. He's a football player guy that like is like, I'm here. He's like, hey man, all smiles, but I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm coming for you. And he was the first person I mean, look at all the interviews. So do you think you're going to win the CrossFit Games? Well, I'm going to try my best, and I hope that if things go my way, it's like, no, I'm coming for you, Rich. Rich, I'm coming for you. And that to me was so exciting. I was like, finally, yes, here's a guy that says, I don't give a shit how good you are. We're going to do battle. And that to me is what sport is all about. Maybe it's the wrestler thing in me. I don't know. Like I was so excited and so happy to see someone take the challenge. He wasn't there to play. He wasn't there to, well, I'm hoping that I do my best. No, man, he was there to take down the champ. And when you're, what do you have to lose? Sure. You're either going to take down the champ or you're not going to take down the champ. And so roll the dice, man, and go for it. Like everybody else was not going to take down the champ too. So I just thought that it was so fun and so refreshing. And man, that just stoked that inner athlete in me so much to see that happen. And he didn't say, like he said it repeatedly. It would come up in different events. He's like, I'm going to get him on this one. I mean, even when they did the overhead squat, who's going to go for 400? Like, he didn't have to go for 400. Rich didn't have to go for 400, but they battled and they went for it anyway.
Right.
Just to go super big, and oh my gosh, that was, the sport needed that. Not just the tremendous finishes and the nice races, but they needed that chase. They needed that drama. They needed, they needed the Mr. T trying to knock off Rocky.
Yeah.
I'm coming for you, man. I'm coming for you. I loved it. It was the best.
Well, everyone always says that CrossFit needs like a villain or a bad guy. And this wasn't that per se, because Tommy's a great guy.
No, he's awesome. Yeah.
But I love that. And the thing I love the most is that it wasn't like some dude in 30th place who had no business being there was talking trash to Rich.
Right.
Tommy Hackenbrook, who, by the way, people forget how good he was as an individual before he went team, won 2 championships in a row, and then came back to go individual. Yeah. Tommy, leading up through regionals, had the numbers to back it up.
Oh, man.
For Rich.
Yeah.
And then during the weekend, people say it's like, oh, Tommy was a non-factor. It's like, Tommy was leading the competition at one time.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, Tommy was there the whole time. Now, he petered off towards the last day, but it wasn't like some dude was just taking shots at Rich to annoy Rich, like some fly you're swatting around. It's like he was giving it to him.
Yeah. And they were legit. I mean, they were legit. Yeah. I'm coming after you. And that's, you got to have that, man. You have to have, in competition, they always ask the athletes, you shouldn't be at the CrossFit Games if you don't think you're going to win. However, very few of them say they're going to win. And I think it takes a particular personality and an attitude, which is a very competitive athlete attitude, to be like, no, I'm here to kick your ass.
Yeah. Like,
we'll high five, all that, but I'm going to smash you to the ground.
I think a lot of that is contact sport athletes too.
Yeah.
But that's the only way you could survive as a wrestler.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm going to do my best. Like, bullshit. Like, I need to fight this.
I need to smash your face in. I'll pick you. I'll help you pick you up afterwards. That's cool.
He was a linebacker at Utah.
Yeah.
Right? Like his game was smashing your face in, and he can impose his will and dictate the outcome.
Yeah, based on that
situation by being physical. But and you can't have that passive. Well, we'll just see how good we can do, and I hope everybody has fun. You can't play that position and do that.
No.
And like, I was a water polo player, and it doesn't sound quite as dramatic, but like
there's a whole lot of punching and kicking that goes on in water polo. That's
a violent sport.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And that was my favorite part of the sport. To where there was one time where I think I've talked about my dad a few times on this show. It's like my dad is an aggressive human being, like an alpha male of alpha males, what I consider him. And he was a middle linebacker at the University of Arizona.
Yeah.
And the stories that his friends tell me is that he was just a complete and utter psychopath, which I love. I didn't quite have the same type of physique in my early years of high school, so I had to drop out of football, but I started playing water polo. And then by the time I was a senior, I still wasn't big, but I had gotten a lot better and more confident and aggressive. And there was one game where I was getting a little too mixed up physically with some of the athletes on the other team. And I swear, I look up in the stands, and then one time my dad just put his hands up and just kind of does the pump your brakes. I was like, ooh, I should probably tone it down a little bit. Crazy Corky just told me to pump the brakes on the physicality. Maybe some of the language, right? It gets a little echoey in those natatoriums.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so that's funny. Yeah, that was I love that about Tommy, because it was during regionals, it was prep, it was during the whole event. Like, he never backed down.
No,
that was really cool.
was
that
awesome.
3?
That was 3 for me. Yeah, you're in the last one.
All right. I will go. Let's see. I could probably say this tailors off to you if we talk about sport.
Okay.
Competition is Julie Foucher's no rep during the muscle-up biathlon.
Yeah.
And, this was, Julie Foucher, this was one of her last years, because, she was going to put herself full in through med school and residency and go back and really focus on her career. Huge fan favorite.
Yeah.
Massive fan favorite. One that we always thought could win the CrossFit Games outright. And she was in shape. She was ready. She was in contention to do so. And during the muscle up biathlon, it might have been her last muscle up, I believe.
She was coming into I think she had a couple left, but she was on a good tempo.
Yeah.
Dude, I
don't think she was going to break, because this was a make or break call.
Right.
So in the muscle up biathlon, it was 18, 15, 12. Ring muscle ups, every time you broke, you had to do a 200 meter penalty lap, and then they had 400 or 500 meter runs to start each round. So she was going in, and this was a make or break round. This is the very end for her.
Yep.
And this is in the soccer stadium. And the soccer stadium, which was attached to the tennis stadium, was massive. I mean, it's where the Galaxy play. Yeah. It's where the San Diego Chargers, or Los Angeles, or whatever, played last year. And I think we had more fans in the stands in 2014 than they did all season last year, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, the stands were packed. Again, a kick-ass event. I didn't have enough moments to put that one on here, but we'll circle back during our round robin elimination round. And we're going, and up until this point, and this is what you're talking about, like in the CrossFit gym, in the cross community, it is massively supported. You're never judged. You're only cheered. It's come together and cheer you on when you're struggling, and it's beautiful. It's one of the things I love the most about CrossFit and being in a CrossFit affiliate. However, on the sports side, it's, I don't like the come together cheering for this last person at the end, because honestly, I don't find it very genuine. For some people it is. Like for Cole Sager, he's very genuine when he cheers for you.
Oh, yeah.
But as an athlete, I'm like, get the fuck away from me. Of course you're celebrating my demise, because I was smoking you for about 2 events, and now you get your licks in. So
yeah,
I don't like that part, and I hate the cliche announcing that, oh, this is the spirit of CrossFit. I was like, no, it's not. You guys, the only people that say that are people that aren't competitive in CrossFit. So stop saying it. I'm sick of it. I actually am legitimately annoyed. I have a mic and I'm saying it. Enough of that cliche bullshit, broadcasters. That is not the true spirit of CrossFit. It's the true spirit of CrossFit in your gym, but nobody is like that on the competition floor. Enough.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'll say a lot of that has to do with how the broadcasters were directed to say certain things like that. We had to show what that was, and it is.
I didn't listen to that part of the morning briefing, because I never.
Oh, you said it too.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, and there it is. There, supporting the people. I bet I can find it.
Go back. Someone find it.
I bet I can find it.
You prove me wrong because
I bet I can find it. I'm not saying. I mean, when I would say it was what it was, and that was one of the things you just had to whatever. That's kind of because the camera's on it, watching everyone circle up the dead person, circle up the zebra. But you're right. It shouldn't again, it's sport, but and this is kind of I think what you're going to is the transition. So get back to your thing so I can say yes, you're right on this. Yes.
So real sports and competition.
Yes.
Is Julie Fouché gets no rep at the very end, and for the first time ever in the CrossFit Games, boos rained down on this judge.
Oh man, yeah.
I don't want to. I mean, we said her name in the last episode, but fantastic human being, fantastic trainer, wonderful woman. Right? Big fan. That was not a no rep. In my opinion. And the boos that came, I just talked about the top getting popped off the tennis stadium the night before or that night of. The boos that came in were thundering.
Yeah.
Where I got goosebumps. I was like, good. I was like the Emperor from Star Wars. It flow through you. just give into your hate and just shower this competition with boos, because now we're a freaking sport.
Yeah.
Clapping, good job, butt pats, high fives, bullshit. This is a competition. This is a sport. This is for blood. This is for money. And this is for glory. And you effed up, and then the whole crowd is going to boo you or boo the situation because now we're a legitimate sport. And I freaking loved it.
Yeah, I was like, my jaw dropped. One, because I was like, what the hell was a no rep? But hearing everybody be pissed off, you're right. That was the first time where it was like, oh, everyone gets it now. And what's crazy is if you watch, like even Camille, she got a ton of no reps. I mean, she probably had like 8 no reps through that thing.
Everyone did, though.
I had never seen that many no reps.
There was a lot.
But there weren't any conversations on any of them. But it was this race between CLB and Julie. And CLB was in the lead. And Julie was like, she was hanging in there. She really was trying to get back into that, race. And here she is struggling to stay with it. And then she gets booed and she gets stopped. And with that one boo, or with that one no rep, she went from whatever, I think she was second in that heat to like 7th in the heat.
Yeah,
just with that one penalty. And yeah, that was,
I'm like, oh, what's the video? I was like, that's
people were pissed.
And that is like, to your point about Camille and some others, is like, it's no secret that Camille blurred the line on range of motion often.
Oh yeah,
right. Just for speed, and if someone's going to let her roll with it, she's going to roll with it.
Heck yeah, I do that all the time, man. That's being an athlete.
Happen. Everyone's like, yeah, okay. But when it happened to Julie, because Julie was. I'm not trying to compare her to Rich, but in terms of like movement virtuosity, she was a fantastic mover.
Oh, great mover.
There almost an unquestionable mover. It was a lot like Rich. Like Rich, you just sit there and count reps.
Right.
Like, you're like, oh, would you be nervous if I got Rich? I'm like, no, I wouldn't have to do anything. I just can't count. But it's like, hey, do you want Camille? I'm like, F no.
Yeah.
I'll be stressed out the whole damn time. And that's just part of the sport. But I think it's because Julie was such a fan favorite, and then they feel like she got totally effed over because they knew the situation, they knew the importance and what this meant, and to get that at the very end, I loved it.
Yeah, you know what? I wish they would have interviewed the judge afterwards, because she didn't waver at all.
Should she have, though?
Not at all. No, I totally agree with that. I mean, it's the same thing as when you see, the official on a big football game, a big championship game. They make their call and the crowd goes crazy and whatever, just to have that person go, "This is what I saw." Yep. I mean, when you have subjective judging like that, that's always there. That element is always there. But that's part of sport. That's part of sport. And here we are on the full spectrum. You got the subjectivity. You have the competition, that race where you're trying to ride that line as much as you can to get through there and get all the things in and go as fast as you can, get all your reps and whatever. And then you have the energy and the crowd and how attached they are to the event, and they're living through that event, and that emotion that was a really cool moment. Shitty for Julie, but a super cool moment.
That was my last piece I want to tailor off of that. Is like, you want to judge a sport by the investment of your spectators, is don't judge it by the cheers, or more often so the boos.
Yeah.
Because everyone will clap for you.
Yeah.
But if someone has the balls to boo,
yeah,
that's an emotionally invested fanatic right there.
Totally.
So to me, I'm not celebrating the boo per se.
No,
I'm
it's
just celebrating
the step.
The turn of the step of people being so heavily invested in the sport as fans that they'll follow you forever.
Yep.
It's not going to come with just clapping for you.
Yeah.
You got to have the other piece, and we got it that year for the first time.
Yeah, that was amazing. All
right, final one. Take us home, Bill.
All right, so the last one for me is you talk about a turn of the page in the old CrossFit history book, when you go from who you thought would be the one and only, the only touched person, the there will never, ever, ever be someone like this ever again, where you have Rich.
Yep.
And then you have Babyface Fraser.
Babyface.
Right in there. And you watch the videos and how dominating Matt is now and how confident he is and how just badass that dude is. But you look at him back here and he's this little punk ass kid that is in the mix on everything. I mean, I loved when he was doing the kind of the Price is Right game on the overhead squat and seeing what Rich is doing and just smiling and learning to do his double thumb pump and, all that chest pumping and bouncing and all that stuff. That turning of the page where Rich ended his individual career that year and Matt came in, and it was like, wow, I mean, you never thought you were going to see someone like Rich.
Yep.
And then here we are with Matt, and I just think that was such an iconic moment. The final, those two battling, where they ended up, how they ended up, and just the way it started with Rich being second and then all the first, and here's Matt coming in as second, and granted he was second the next year, but we don't talk about that part. But I mean, coming in as second and then really being like, wow, okay, here we go, brand new chapter. It's kind of like the BC and the AD right here before, BR and that time frame, and then after Fraser. So
BR and AR. Yeah. That was cool. And you're right, because you saw Rich's dominance. And how often do we say, unfairly, whoever wins the games next year, do they get an asterisk by the name because Rich wasn't competing? And the answer is absolutely not.
Yeah.
But that's how dominant Rich was, because Rich didn't leave. We talked about that he had his struggles, but by the end of the weekend, it was still pristine, classic, dominant Rich Froning.
Yeah.
Now, he had to work for it harder than any other year, but he also, I honestly believe that Rich is more fit now than he was in 2014.
Yeah.
Like, not even close. He just doesn't want to do individual anymore. But he's like, the thing that he shores up his nutrition like nothing I've ever seen. All the holes that gave him a problem in 2014 are now closed.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I'll say the nutrition thing is gigantic. I mean, and he's as you get older, you get a little wiser, and he still is able. Even though he had his knee issues and all that kind of stuff, I think that he now is able to make everything. The importance level, not just I'm going to hit everything hard, but there's a reason for every single thing that he does, and I think that's a wisdom thing. That's an age thing, but
true.
Yeah, it's not like he's not a great athlete still, but that that switch.
I mean, look what he does in the Open every year.
I know.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
You don't even have to do the Open anymore because you don't take teams out of the Open, and he still gets in the top 20. Ridiculous. But I like that, yeah. And you think about other sports, like when Michael Jordan was leaving the game, like there'll never be another one. And then, it passes off to Kobe Bryant. You're like, another Kobe. And then here comes LeBron James. Then or the NFL. Like, think of the great quarterbacks back in the day, like the Staubachs and and then come the Marinos and the Aikmans and the Montanas, and then Young comes in, and you're like, oh, there'll never be another one. It's like, oh, by the way, here comes Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. You're like, oh God, these are the best. Oh, by the way, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar. Like, so you always feel like there'll never be another great. And not saying best ever, just great.
Yeah.
And there seems to always be one. On the women's side, it was Annie. And then came Katrin. And then Tia. You're like, holy crap. And intermixed in there with Sam Briggs and Camille. But like, you didn't think you'd see another dominant female like that. And then Tia comes in and just has raised the bar on the women's side, I think, more than any male has in their perspective side. Like, Rich, domination. Matt, domination. But what Tia is starting to do, even after coming off 3 wins, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So it's really cool to see that torch being passed. And I'm curious where that torch will go, or how long Fraser and Tia are going to decide to hold on. Because I honestly, and I've heard a lot, as Sean has said this before a lot, is that they'll win as many as they want to.
Yeah.
And that's a Sean Woodland special. And I 100% wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. That's true.
I just don't see it. Again, that's the beauty.
But this is what's so great, because we didn't think we'd see that either. We didn't think that we would ever see someone at this level past Rich,
right,
or past Annie,
right.
And here we are. That's like, no, we absolutely have that. Someone that could still stay there if they wanted to.
Even like Katrin's like, oh, she looks untouchable now. And then Tia's like, here, hold my beer. I'm like, oh my God. But that's cool. I like that. That is a good one. And it makes me excited for the future, because every time I think no one could be better, someone better or just as good, they're there. Fun to watch.
They're out there.
So who knows what our Mount Rushmore of 2020 may be coming up.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one.
That online portion starts. The online portion of the CrossFit Games starts on the 18th.
Yeah.
Which will be next Friday. It'll be a Friday, Saturday. And when those events come out and after it's over, you bet your ass we're going to be talking about it.
Oh, man.
See if they got the right 5 men, 5 women. But that is a little bit away. And that was our 2014 Mount Rush moments. That was a fun one.
I love that year.
2014 was a great year. The ones coming up, I've already been thinking about 15, 16. There's just some good things coming down the pipe. I can't wait to get into those. Oh, man. I'm already. It's been an hour.
Yeah.
Remember when these were 30 minutes long?
Yeah, I knew that wouldn't.
But that was to be expected. We're talking about events we weren't even at or barely remembered, and now we're just fully in the moment with these things. So
yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed our stories. That was 2014. If you haven't listened to our other ones, we've got it all the way back from 2007 through 2013 for a Mount Rush moments. And you want to hear our full recaps of the CrossFit Games from 2007 to 2015, go back and listen to our first series analyzing the programming. That's what got us all started. 2006, people have been clamoring for our new 2016, so we got to get that one out there.
We'll get it out. We'll
get it out there. Probably about a week or so. But thanks for listening to this one. Mount Rushman's always fun. Bill, thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. Take it easy, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening.